Hi, and welcome to Screens in Focus podcast, where we share and connect as we spotlight our favorite shows and movies. I'm Diana.
And I'm Brooke.
And this is episode 87. Today, we're going to be talking about some of our favorite Black films and TV shows. But before we dive in, how are you doing today, Brooke?
Well, you know what? I'm doing just fine. I had actually a pretty decent day. I woke up ready to celebrate today as Juneteenth.
Yes.
And what an amazing feeling waking up this morning, feeling this somewhat of a harmony in my soul. You know, just having, I felt something that I haven't really felt in a few weeks, and just this subtle moment of peace, and just reflecting on what certain groups of individuals have done, to make change in our country, and to see what everybody is doing right now. It was just, I felt the need to celebrate that. And wherever I was today, I had on my playlist.
Yeah.
And it was, I listened to a lot of music, and actually all my music right now that I stream is coming from YouTube Music. And so when I turned on my music this morning, there was a playlist all ready to go. Perfect. So,
well, you always have a good playlist, because every time I go into the salon, I always remark about the music, and I always say something. I'm like, what are you playing? Because I always like it. There's always a song playing, and I just love music too. So it really resonates with me. I'm like, oh, this is a cool song, or I love it. So you listen. You have great playlists. As far as
thank you.
As much as I get to hear of it.
It was great. It was really nice. I felt good about it. How was your day?
My day was pretty good. We have some house issues we're dealing with, some minor health issues. We have a lot of stuff going on, but it's going fine. It's going great. Otherwise, we're getting through it. Okay. It's nothing too impactful, but it's just stuff that happens, right? Stuff that happens to your house and things you have to take care of. And so, but I was really happy because this morning I got a little reminder from the Boss Family Workout. So I now follow Twitch and Allison, and they have on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays a workout for you to do, and it's them dancing, and you dance along, and it's nothing hard. It's nothing like they're, breaking out doing their great dancing. It's just to get your body moving, and I just find it so, it just hits me perfect, because I to get up and move and to dance around and it's not too long. They don't do it for too long, so it's just a really good way for me to get my blood pumping, and it's to music and just watching these two people that I really like and I'm following now. So it's great. So
oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I think you shared their info with me.
I did. I think I did. So I really like them, because they were on So You Think You Can Dance.
Oh.
And then, this was really early on. She was on, then he was on, and then they got married. They're, a biracial couple. Wait, am I saying that right? Is it biracial or interracial couple?
Interracial.
Okay, they're an interracial couple. And I don't know, I just find them they bring me inspiration. I just really like them a lot.
Oh, that's really cool.
And the reason I shared it with you was because they had that white privilege TikTok video that had an impact on me. And so I had shared it with you and a few other people, and then I found out it had gone totally viral and millions of people had seen it. So, but I'm following them now as individuals, and then I saw that they had this dance workout, and I'm like, oh, perfect, right up my alley. Right up my alley,
Yay.
meaning because I needed to move and I like music and I like dance. So, and like I said, they do fairly easy moves, so I can try and keep up. So, yeah, so I'm enjoying that.
Very cool.
Which is great.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I do want to remind people that Brooke and I are still recording remotely because of COVID-19 and shelter in place. And it is warm, so I'm partially have my door open and closed, so they might hear some background noise. But, we just wanted to keep moving forward and bringing our listeners a podcast. And I'm really excited about discussing what we have watched and what we're inspired by and what we've, want to share with everybody.
All right.
I wanted to bring one more thing up before we get to our question of the day.
Yeah.
I wanted to give you and all of our listeners an update on the Walking Dead universe because, yes, I'm having withdrawals. So I've heard that Fear the Walking Dead may premiere in July when Comic-Con is supposed to happen. I know it's not going to be physically there. I don't know if they're doing anything remotely for people. But when that happens, because the Walking Dead universe is really big with Comic-Con in San Diego, it's, I guess, rumored that Fear the Walking Dead will start. And then once Fear the Walking Dead half of the season is over, that new spinoff, is it Beyond? Is it Beyond the Walking Dead?
I thought so.
Yeah, they're supposed to come in after that, which would lead it right up into the holidays. So,
wow.
And then, of course, we're still waiting to see the finale, number 16 of season 10 of The Walking Dead. So anyways, I just wanted to give an update in case people wanted to know.
Oh, that's really good information.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope, because I would love to see it. But then I don't know when they'll start filming again because I don't know. We'll see. But Brooke, I want to know, because we're going to talk a lot here about a lot of Black films and shows, and I was thinking about what should our question of the day be, and I thought, well, a lot of these stories can be very, even though they're very emotional and heartbreaking, there is something about the human spirit that is inspirational. So I wanted to know from you what or who has inspired you this week.
Well, this week...
or it could be this month or lately. It could be any of those things.
Okay, my current inspiration is currently, I would say, it's regaining the knowledge on, I guess, just for me, focusing on what this movement is all about. Because I can't say that I'm out of the loop. I can't say that I'm just not going to, be on social media because I just need a break from all this, what's happening. It personally affected my life and my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
I am still affected by certain acts and certain negative acts. I have 3 sons who might experience that as well. And so gaining the knowledge, moving on with my life, and taking that knowledge and putting it into a proper place where it's going to make a difference, starting at my roots, my feet, my body, my family, is something that I've been trying to do and trying to figure it all out. I've been trying to sort through that in my brain,
right,
and wrap my head around all that's happening in our communities and around the world, and the voices that are being heard. I'm listening to what people are saying because I need to know more, and I need to understand in depth what these people are saying, because I don't judge books by its cover. When I look for a book, I look at what stands out, obviously, I'm an artist, I'm a designer, there's certain things that are going to attract my eyes, right?
Yeah.
And then I go into the book, I hold the book, I feel the book, I open the book up, and I want to read what this book is about. Why am I attracted to this book? What is all going on inside? It's not just about what it looks like on the outside. What if the whole book was blank, but the cover was beautiful masterpiece? So for me, it's important for me to understand the totality. And that's what's inspiring me and helping me get through this difficult time. I think that makes sense. I'm not sure.
Yes.
I'm going to re-listen to the podcast. I'm like, what was I saying?
It makes sense. It makes sense. And I think because so much is going on, I mean, there isn't a quick answer or quick decision, right? This is something that's going to take time and a reflection and, look within ourselves and within other people. So I can see that. Of course, it makes sense. So I think you said it beautifully. I think you're so awesome. You inspire me all the time. So
likewise.
You're very inspirational.
You are too. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too.
I appreciate your support. You're always asking, just checking up on me, and you're in tune with what's going on in my life, and I think that's also really, really helpful and motivating. And so just being a better friend, is what I'm getting from just how you stay connected. It's like I look at your 80s pictures on your Facebook and stuff, and it's amazing that you're still connected to your friends from different time periods. And I think that is truly inspiring, and I think more people can learn from those type of experiences, to be better fulfilled, I guess, too, because it's extremely inspiring to see that there's people like you.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. My all friends that I've had from a long time ago, friends that I have currently, including you, my friendships are so valuable to me. It's just that connection between people. It feeds me. I just love it. Because I learn from people, and I just love that connection. I wanted to share something that I had heard on Chris Hardwick's podcast. It's ID10T, and he had Yvette Nicole Brown on there. And so they've been friends for a long time. And of course, he hosts The Talking Dead, and she comes on quite often. And I didn't realize that they were such good friends, but they are.
No.
And, he is a white man, she is a black woman. And the only reason I bring that up, because he had her on his podcast. He wanted it to just be them two. They didn't have any schedule of what they were going to talk about. They just wanted to talk because, they're very good friends. They're very supportive of each other. And listening to them talk, it was so moving. It was really moving. She did a lot of the talking, which is what he wanted. He said, look, I'm here to listen. Tell us, how you're feeling, how you're doing and everything. And she just speaks very well. She speaks from the heart. She's a super good person. She said her reason for being on Earth, her real reason for being on Earth, is to be a cheerleader to other people. That is her purpose. She always wants to root people on and hear them, listen to them, and just be their cheerleader. And she was talking about a bagger at Ralph's and how he bagged her stuff really well. Like he put everything like it was a Rubik's Cube or a puzzle, and he just put it in her bag so well. And she noticed it, and she said to him, wow, you packed my bag so good. You're so good at it. And he had such a smile on his face. And she said that she could tell by what she said to him, he felt so good about what he had done. And she said, I know that he doesn't aspire to be probably the best bagger in the world, but what she was trying to say is that everybody has something they're meant to do for other people and to make other people's lives better, easier. And she saw the joy that he was bringing to his job, which in turn affected her. And she wanted to let him know that she was seeing him, because she said, that's really all we want to do is be seen and, be heard. And so I just found it so inspiring. And so in the close of this podcast, Chris was saying to her how much she inspired him. And in turn, she said, Chris, I've known you for 10 years. I have never seen this much growth from you that I have seen in the last few, little bit. He couldn't even speak because he was so moved by what she said to him. And I thought, wow, what an incredible friendship. Wow, that they both recognize these things in each other. I love that she offered about, you're here on earth to help other people, because in turn that will help other people and yourself. I just love the whole message. Mm-hmm. So I just found it very inspiring. And so I wanted to share that with you and our listeners.
That's so sweet. I love those two.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't know that they were friends.
I didn't either.
They're so cute when she's a guest on his show.
I know.
I love seeing her on the Talking Dead.
Uh-huh.
But she's in other shows too, like the kids. She's been in some of the kids' shows, like their Disney programs or Nickelodeon or something like that. So I see her in a lot of different things that my kids watch.
Yeah, I think she is the voice of a lot of things. I know she does Community, or she did Community when that show was...
the kids started watching that recently. So yeah, I saw her. Yeah, that's cool. And I love Chris Hardwick. So thanks for that inspirational friendship that they have.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. Great. So, Screens in Focus, friends and family, we want to know what you think. Who or what has inspired you this week, this past month? What inspires you? Let us know. You can leave us a comment on Twitter at @in_screens, or you can find us on our Screens in Focus Facebook page. You can also follow us on our Instagram and subscribe to our website. And of course, you could find us on YouTube. So, Diana.
Yes.
There is a movie out there that you and I have both seen, and I'm guessing it's probably one of the modern versions of of its kind. And that movie is Roots. What are your thoughts on that movie?
Well, I remember watching this series when I was young, and I remember being glued to the TV set. I wanted to watch it, but I was horrified by what I was watching because I was pretty young. So I was like, what am I watching? I'm used to watching musicals and people dancing and Shirley Temple and all kinds of other lighthearted show series. And so this was very gripping. And I couldn't understand the cruelty. It's been a long time since I've seen the series, but what I remember is that Kunta Kinte was taken from his home, put on a ship, and sold into slavery. He tries to escape numerous times, but he's brutalized for it. And I remember women being raped by their slave owners and families being torn apart. And even though it was so hard to watch, I felt that it really opened my eyes to the brutality and the history of our country.
Okay. You know what?
Yeah.
I forgot that it was a series. It's not a movie. It's a mini-series,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
It was an 8-episode miniseries, and it was based on Alex Haley's novel of the same name. For anyone that hasn't watched it, it's a family living through generations of slavery from mid 1750s through the end of the Civil War, 1865. It premiered in January 1977, and it was on 8 consecutive nights. And I do want to say something briefly about that. The reason they did it was in January, 8 consecutive nights, because they thought people weren't going to watch it. So they said, you know what, let's just put it back to back. No one's going to watch it. It'll be when people aren't watching TV that much. Yeah, they got a shocking surprise because it was a huge, huge hit. I was watching just recently a little clip of Leslie Uggams and a couple of the other actors, and they were sitting there together talking. And she said that back when this was happening, that her and Anne Margaret were on some Las Vegas show, and that Anne Margaret came up to her and said, Leslie, we're going to have to put this show on hold. And she's all, why? She goes, because everybody's at home watching Roots on TV and the show can't go on yet. So we're going to have a later Las Vegas show. So that just kind of goes to show you how popular it was. It received 37 Emmy nominations along with other awards. The Nielsen ratings were unprecedented for the finale, and it still holds the record for the third highest rated episode for any TV series and the second most watched overall series finale in U.S. TV history.
Oh, wow. I'm going to probably always refer this to a movie because I've only seen it as
ongoing altogether. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I the first time I saw this, I remember we rented it from the public library, and oh my gosh, I was young. I mean, you were young and I was super young. Like whenever I was able to see it, I was pretty young, and I don't actually know who introduced it or how. I won't remember that, but I just remember being at home, watching it with my brother, and everything that you described about this movie, I remember feeling too. Like I was just astonished at this picture that we're seeing. And then I've, like my brother and I already told you, we grew up watching violence and gore and stuff like that. So, but this was different. I think it was different because it's a historical event that took place, right? And it was so heartbreaking. So for me, seeing this, and it just explained what slavery was like, and for those who lived it. This movie, it made an impression on me, and it instilled still in me an understanding the value. Incredible truth, corruption, greed, and evil pain. I realized through this movie, personally, I had a beginning story. I questioned a lot about myself and my family history at a very, very young age. And this movie was very important to me because I felt like I had that foundation finally. I felt like I could start to understand certain questions that I had. Very young, but I remember feeling confused, and I had experienced a lot of different social issues, and so this movie, it really opened up a lot for me personally, and so I'm very thankful for this movie.
Me too.
Yeah, very, very thankful. LeVar Burton, because he was the host of Reading Rainbow, I just got a kick out of that. I was like, wow, he looks, because he was a much younger in Roots than he was in Reading Rainbow. And so I had a connection to him as an actor or as a character on TV. So yes, if anybody hasn't seen Roots, it's never too late.
I know. I think I remember I thought everybody should watch it in school.
I wonder if it was in if it, if they played it in school. I feel like maybe it was.
I don't know.
At some point,
they probably left it for people to watch at home, but then people probably wouldn't do that, right? So it's like you have to watch it.
Okay, so Diana, we both watched the recent movie No Mercy.
Yes.
Oh, I really loved it, but I want to hear your thoughts.
I thought this was such a great crime drama. It's a true story with Michael B. Jordan. He's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in Fruitvale Station. He was in Creed. He was in Black Panther, among other things. But he plays Stevenson, a young idealistic lawyer who travels to Alabama to help poor people who can't afford legal representation. And there he meets Walter McMillan, played by Jamie Foxx, who is on death row for the murder of an 18-year-old girl, despite evidence proving his innocence. For years, Stevenson encounters racism, legal and political maneuverings as he tirelessly fights for McMillan's life. Stevenson even appeared on 60 Minutes to gain, public support. And what's interesting is I watched that segment today because I just wanted to get more background on this film. So I watched the 60 Minutes segment, and that was interesting because that was filmed in 1992. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of interesting to watch the 60 Minutes segment and that be a part of this movie, that it really did happen, because this really is a true story. Because sometimes we watch these movies and we're thinking, that can't be true, all of that. But no, this stuff is true, and it's so crazy. And it was astonishing how apparent someone's innocence is, and to get so much resistance for it is just so crazy. I don't understand it. And what was even more shocking to learn was that McMillan sat on death row before he was even convicted. Really? I mean, can you imagine that? Oh, we're arresting you. Let's put you on death row, but we haven't really, convicted you of anything yet.
Yeah. So it's still an open case.
I was like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking.
What did you think?
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel the because Michael B. Jordan's character, he was well educated. And the point in the movie where he graduated and then he's going to start his business or his legal office. Yes. And then just that whole scene with his mom worried about him getting killed for the line of work that he's going to be doing. And then when he arrives to that town and he's trying to get the office space, and his colleague, the female colleague, she's such a little firecracker, she had such a spitfire, and she was so supportive of her boss. She's like, she tells the man, "You're making me look bad in front of my boss," and I think she called him an asshole, if I can remember, and then her son, and she's like, "Oh, sorry for swearing," in front of her child. And I loved their relationship that they had in this movie. And I think that he did a really brave move to help these people and open and shed light on the fact that these are still humans. Yeah. And how he felt about the death penalty, So there was moments of sadness in this movie where his Jamie Foxx's character, his friend, it was his time to go.
Oh,
that was really sad. Hard to see. I was like, because my kids were kind of watching it with me, and at that part, I knew something was going to happen.
Uh-huh.
And I just told them to close their eyes because I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
And that's all we needed. It was very, very subdued and, you got it, right? But still, like, their passion for one another and all the noise that they were making through the cells.
Yes, when the execution was happening, just to show that they were in support of him.
And because he had panic attacks, Jamie Foxx was just breathe, just breathe, and if you think you're done breathing, just keep breathing or something like that. He told them, and he was doing that during his last few breaths to find that peace. Many of the actors in that film just did a very good job. I don't know, and you may not. I'm not sure if you could answer this, but were some of the interviews in the movie real people, real interviews? Because it looked like they weren't even acting. It looked like a real jail interview with a journalist, or to me, it looked very real.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't hear that. So,
yeah, when they were talking about the system and they had interviewed some inmates on the row. So anyway. Very well done, very well directed. I believe it was very necessary to see, very surprising to understand the statistics of people on death row who are actually guilty and who may not be guilty.
Yeah, that was astonishing. Yes.
So if you enjoy this topic or learning about this topic and, enjoy dramas, I definitely feel that this is a must watch, and you could find it on Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah, I think No Mercy is one of the films that is free, so you could probably watch it in a multitude of places right now.
Cool.
Yeah, because of Black Lives Matter, they're putting a lot of films out there for free. Actually, I had already had this in my queue from a while ago because I knew I had wanted to watch it when it first came out at the theaters. And I said, I want to watch this movie. I like crime lawyer type films. So I knew I wanted to watch this. So it was in my queue and it was finally up for it to come. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect because it'll go right with our podcast. And then it was free to everybody. So I'm like, oh man, I got the DVD and I didn't even need to get the DVD because it was free. But I'm really happy that it is free to anybody that wants to watch it. So I really encourage other people to watch this film.
Perfect. You also watched Selma.
I did. I want to say that Ava DuVernay is an incredible filmmaker. I just think she's so great. And she has directed 3 films that I wanted to touch on. One is Selma that I just watched because this is another one that's out free for people to watch. I was so happy to learn more about Martin Luther King Jr. I know he's your hero, Brooke, so I was like, oh, yes, I get to learn some more. And it was so good to see how he fought for civil rights. This movie chronicles his 3-month campaign to secure equal voting rights by making a 5-day 54-mile march from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, while facing violent opposition. I mean, state troopers beating, whipping, tear gassing protesters, even while it was televised.
Yeah.
But what was amazing was that they kept going. It was heartbreaking. It was awful, the things that were being done to them, but they just got back up, rallied together and just kept going. And at one point, Dr. King implored people of all colors to join in the march. And they did.
And that was on televised too, right?
Yes. And that was it didn't matter if you were black or white. If you were marching in this demonstration, they just wanted to beat you, kill you, do whatever. It's so horrifying to me. When I watch these movies, I'm just like I can't even fathom it. That's why more people need to watch these to see what's happening, because you would never believe the things that happen or have happened. I was not aware of this march. I wasn't. And so I'm so happy that I watched this movie. I had no idea. So I learned, and I'm going to continue to learn and pass it forward and talk to my family, my friends, because I think it's just something we all need to be aware of. And but Martin Luther King, I mean, he had a vision and he never lost focus, and he was a great, great leader. And the movement culminates with President Johnson signing the Voting Rights Act of 1965. A moment in here that it was at the beginning, but I wanted to bring up was when Annie Lee Cooper, who was played by Oprah, was denied her right to vote for the 5th time because she could not name 67 county judges in Alabama.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they did everything they could to suppress black voters. I mean, who could name 67 of the judges? I mean, that's just a crazy.
Yeah.
And to see her head hang down as she walked off. I mean, she looked nothing. I mean, she looked like Oprah. You knew it was her, but I mean, she looked nothing like how we see or view Oprah. And I thought she did an excellent job, even in that small part that she was in. Mm-hmm. She was amazing. There was also a part where Dr. King had to console Cager Lee on his grandson, Jimmy Lee Jackson, being shot and killed by a state trooper while unarmed. And, I just can't. Can you even imagine having to console somebody like that? It was just a really, really moving moment. And I think that David Oyelowo, I believe is how you pronounce his name, he was superb. He was like so good as Martin Luther King Jr. And I just hope that everybody will take time to watch this movie. So it's free.
Thank you, Diana. I love that movie very, very much. Thank you.
I also watched 13th. This documentary really opened my eyes. The film explores the intersection of race, justice, and mass incarceration in the United States. It is titled after the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, adopted in 1865, which abolished slavery throughout the United States and ended involuntary servitude except as punishment for conviction. So basically, where slavery ended, incarceration started, because they would find any opportunity to incarcerate African Americans.
Yeah.
So the film it's a shocking look at the prison system in America and how disproportionate the number of African American people and people of color are incarcerated. Mm-hmm. I was really moved by a boy, Khalif. I don't know if his last name was Browder. I don't know if I have that right or not. He was 16 and he was in Rikers for 3 years, and he was never brought to trial, and he couldn't afford bail, so they didn't let him out. And it was a robbery he didn't commit. And he experienced brutalization from inmates and from officers, and they even showed footage, actual real footage. And he attempted suicide several times while he was at Rikers, and he was finally released because there was no trial, there was no nothing. They just let him out. And at 22, he committed suicide. And I was just left really speechless. So I encourage people to watch this movie also.
Oh, how sad. It's on my queue. I haven't watched this yet.
Netflix tweeted that in the last 3 weeks, millions of members, 4,665% increase. Can you imagine that?
Wow.
Versus 3 weeks prior. have sought out this movie to watch. Wow. So I love that many people are watching this movie.
Amazing.
Yeah. A movie I think that we've both talked about, Brooke, is When They See Us, but I just wanted to mention it briefly again because Ava DuVernay directed this film also. And this is the one where in 1989, the 5 teens were wrongly convicted of raping and brutalizing a female jogger in Central Park. And it tells the story from their perspective, and it examines the role race plays in their incrimination and how it affected them and their families. And the innocence they lost and the feelings of hopelessness and the torture. It was really hard to watch, but I think it's really necessary. And the only reason they were exonerated was because the actual serial rapist confessed, and his DNA confirmed his guilt. And there's an Oprah special on Netflix also, so you can watch I think it's a 4-episode miniseries, and then you can watch the Oprah special, or just watch the Oprah special. Just watch whatever you can. They're both really good.
There's also a documentary based off of this event, and it's called the Central Park 5. So that's that one I watched on Prime Video, I believe. So yeah. You have the footage of their interrogation and their current or more recent interviews after everything had happened, and kind of you get to see. Because I never actually watched When They See Us. I don't think I've watched it yet. But in the Central Park 5, they show how them being imprisoned affected their lives. They talk about that too. Mm-hmm. But I'm sure they talk with Oprah about that.
Right. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. I also saw The Hate U Give, and I just saw this within the last week. And I have to say, this is one of my favorite movies I've watched recently. It really resonated with me. I really like the actress who plays Star, Amandla Stenberg. And I really also like her father, Maverick, played by Russell Hornsby. He used to come out in Grimm, and so I just really like these actors in this movie. But the film opens up with him telling his children, Star, who's 9, his son is 10, and he has a 1-year-old, what to do if they're ever pulled over by a cop. You know, he tells them, put your hands on the dashboard. And he makes them practice it, and he makes sure it's instilled in them. And, you know, it's the difference between life and death. And so the film jumps to current time, and Star is 16. She lives in her Black community in Garden Heights, but she goes to a mostly white prep school in Williamson neighborhood, all while trying to balance out her life and not quite fitting in either place. And so she goes to a party in her old neighborhood and reunites with a friend and her first crush, Khalil, and a fight breaks out, and they take off in a car, and they're reminiscing and laughing and talking about old times, and a cop pulls them over. And the first thing Star tells him is, put your hands on the dash. You know, this is what my dad taught me. And, well, she doesn't say that, but, you know, that's what's going through her head. And he's not doing it. And she keeps yelling at him, Khalil, come on, put your hands on the dash. And so the cop comes over, and Khalil is, you know, upset because he doesn't understand why he's pulled over. And things starting to heat up, and the cop, you know, takes Khalil's license and runs it. And Khalil's standing outside the car, and he's talking inside to Star, and he goes to pick up his brush, and the cop shoots him down. And Star runs out of the car, and her friend is bleeding, and she's screaming, and the cop handcuffs her, and the cop's looking for the gun. He's like, where's the gun? Where's the gun? And realizing there is no gun, that it's the brush, and it's just such a, oh my gosh, it was a horrific scene. And so the community is outraged, and Star is having PTSD. She's having to deal with her family, drug dealers in the neighborhood, the police, the media, everything. This, you know, poor girl is having all these things that she's trying to balance in her life, and she, you know, and she's not connecting with her friends because they're disconnected from her. But I love that this movie examines all those relationships. And it is Star who has to figure out what to do with her experience and how she will voice that and how she will be a friend to Khalil. And I just found this movie very powerful, and I really, really like it and encourage people to watch it.
Aw.
I really liked it.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Ooh, wow. Those are some good movies, Diana. Thank you for sharing them.
You're welcome.
Yes, so Black films have been a part of my entire life, and I've learned about my culture through the acting and the portrayal of these Black actors. And I enjoy watching sitcoms, action films, realistic drama, and all the shows and movies that I watch, I examine their lifestyle. Historically, many Black actors had to make change in society to be taken seriously within the film industry. And in 1915, a movie called A Birth of a Nation. Have you heard of it?
I did see this. Where did I see this? I think it was in 13th.
And then also the Black Klansmen, I think they ran one of their Klan meetings, and they played this movie at the Klan meeting. And they just laughed at the portrayal, and yeah, it's horrible. It's actually...
It is horrible.
Yeah.
It is horrible. I didn't like it at all.
No. And this was to glorify the KKK and to portray Black characters as villains, rapists, and just these evil people in their communities. But they were actually, this was a white actor who had painted the face black and behaved this way. And so this portrayal was known as blackface. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so it's a negative characterization of Black people. But, in no time, within a couple of years, Lincoln Motion Picture Company produced middle-class dramas depicting Blacks as heroes, family members, and to be seen as actual people. Through the 1920s and 30s, more Black film productions made their way into society. I feel like that must have took a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine the amount of their livelihood that went into these films to kickstart the beginning in order for us to have the creative Black films that we do have today. Some of the movies and films that influenced me in my youth are still with me today. As many of you know, I really enjoy watching PBS, and I had learned a lot about Black musicians on that channel, like Diana Ross, the Pointer Sisters, Bill Withers, Marvin Gaye, and the Temptations. They're just a few of whom I've learned about. And I love sitcoms like Family Matters, Martin, Living Single with Queen Latifah, and just so many more. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I watched a lot of those sitcoms. So the 90s, for me, was the most memorable time in my life. And I feel as though I learned the most during that time of my childhood. I was also the type of child who would look for Black characters in shows and movies, just so that I could see with my eyes and my heart the diversity in a mixed group of characters. I needed to see those relationships. It was very important to me. Mm-hmm. And I think for a lot of us, especially us who lived in California in the 90s, we had some events. Like I would come home from school wanting to watch my sitcoms or my cartoons, and then I remember O.J. Simpson's Bronco being televised, and I'm like, what the heck? Where's my cartoons at? I want to watch Power Rangers. What? I was a kid. Didn't understand why this is taking over the media.
Yeah.
And then the LA riots in 1992, same thing. I come home, I'm like, what the heck? What's going on, man? This is my TV time. What is happening? But of course, this was part of TV. That was true event, and they were able to create current documentaries and shows. I mean, they had a FX production on the O.J. Simpson trial a couple years ago, right? And I just watched the documentary on LA 92, which was so incredible. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But needless to say, having these Black films during that time of my life was absolutely necessary. I very, very much appreciate having that in my home.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you. What else did you watch?
Well, I've watched these next few movies previously, but I wanted to bring them up because I think they're really good movies for people to watch. I saw Black Klansman. This is directed by Spike Lee. It's based on a memoir by Ron Stallworth. It stars John David Washington, who plays Stallworth, and Adam Driver. And it's set in the 70s, and the plot follows the first African-American detective in the Colorado Police Department as he sets out to infiltrate and expose the local Ku Klux Klan chapter. And it's a really good movie.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it's really good. So people should watch that.
Yeah.
I also watched Moonlight, and I actually didn't see Moonlight too long ago. I know it's a couple years old, but and I had been wanting to watch it, but I have to wait till it streams, and so I was finally able to watch it. It's a coming-of-age drama directed by Barry Jenkins. It brings you through 3 stages of the main character's life as a child, an adolescent, and adult, as he navigates life and faces difficulties with his sexuality and identity. And as a kid, he is befriended by a drug dealer who watches over him and is played by Mahershala Ali, who I love, and who also won an Academy Award for his supporting performance in this movie. The film won Best Picture after it was accidentally given to La La Land first, if you remember that incident in the Oscars.
Yeah.
So Moonlight won the film. And it's just really good. I want to watch it again, actually.
I do too.
I think it's one of those movies that you need to watch again to really absorb it. I also watched a while back Fruitvale Station. This is a 2013 American biographical film. It's written and directed by Ryan Coogler, and this was his directorial debut. And it's based on the events leading up to the death of Oscar Grant, a young man who was killed in 2009 by BART police officer Johannes Messerly. Mm-hmm. And this was at the BART Fruitvale Station in Oakland. So Michael B. Jordan plays Oscar Grant in this movie. Right. So... yeah, he's really good. He plays in a lot of movies. A good actor.
He's a very good actor. And he's nice to look at.
Yeah. He is.
So for me, at some point in film, Black movies and the realistic dramas became really surreal to me. I lived in a decent neighborhood growing up, yet I understood what it felt like to feel that unsafe feeling in the neighborhood that you live. Uh-huh. I experienced it at my grandmother's home in her neighborhood. It was much like watching the movie Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, which is about growing up in their inner cities of LA or Compton. There's gangs, gun violence, drugs, crime. It just all seemed so real to me watching these movies. And again, I was very young when I was introduced to these movies. I would be so scared that this is how people are living. It's also very shocking to see.
Yeah.
As difficult as it was for me to watch, I think it was important, and it was an important time in my life to see what is happening in other children's neighborhoods, right? Because remember, I'm a kid watching these adult movies, and I'm thinking, what would it be like playing basketball in the neighborhood or riding my bike down the street in these neighborhoods, because in these movies, innocent people's lives are being taken because of the street violence.
Yeah.
And so these movies were introduced to me and my brother in a time of our lives where we got to see with our eyes some of these neighborhoods nearby my grandmother's house, in my grandmother's neighborhood. I mean, it was just like those movies. So having that very bit of visual association and the experience that proved to me that this is very close to reality, I think this is where my love for documentaries began, because you can't get more real than actual footage, you know?
Yeah.
I just love documentaries. So to me, documentaries are a way for me to explore and visit culture in a semi-exclusive manner, right? Because I'm at home, comfortably in my home, watching people go through these challenges and whatnot. And a historical multi-part documentary that I completely recommend to anyone who is interested in learning a bit of African American history is called Many Rivers to Cross, and that's written and presented by Henry Louis Gates Jr. You might know his name from the PBS TV series called Finding Your Roots. And Finding Your Roots, he has his guests, most of the time they're celebrities, and he does the DNA test to find the family tree. Maybe you don't know you're adopted and you don't know anything about your family history. This show is crazy. He can find and trace back from when your family immigrated to the United States. It's just crazy how far back. I want to get on the show. I want to know. So that's how you may know him, other than this documentary called Many Rivers to Cross. This documentary, Many Rivers to Cross, goes as far back as slavery up to now, and I highly recommend it. It's on PBS, so I'm sure you could find it. I think you can access it on Prime Video. I'm not 100%. I just happened to watch it because I love watching PBS, and it was like on, and I'm like, oh, what is this? And so it is so informative. It's like taking a crash course on history. So I would totally check it out if I were you and anybody else who's listening. Another documentary that I just recently watched about school-age Black girls in America, it's called Push Out: The Criminalization of Black Girls in Schools. And this is by Monique W. Morris. And she is a doctor of education and also produced by Women in the Room production company. So in this documentary, I learned about the discrimination and unfair treatment that Black girls are going through in school. Many of the education professionals and activists in this documentary, they just spoke so amazingly well, and I was completely engaged, especially because myself going through some of these experiences, and these highly intelligent women just broke down these discussions so that anybody could understand. I just really hope that this documentary can help a lot of people with the insight and help the students get to the point of learning. And that's the whole purpose of school.
Right.
So I tried to watch as many documentaries this week as I possibly could. And I was so pleased to come across this documentary called Back to Natural. And it's a documentary about different hair types and how Black people are represented and treated in a community since slave trading and now. I mean, it goes as far back as that. I mean, their African roots even. I mean, ancient African hairstyles was like a status of like, is a sign of your status, your wealth. Like, this is who I am. This is who I represent. Braids and like hair sculptures. I mean, this is going back hundreds of years. And so to see people being treated indifferent in the American society because of the texture of their hair was just unbelievable. And it's amazing to hear the stories about the events that are taking place. I was just so disappointed and in disbelief. I mean, I think within the last year, I read an article that they finally passed a law somewhere that people can no longer be discriminated against their hair type at work.
Oh.
I'm thinking, oh, wow. I mean, it was bad enough to be teased as a 5-year-old or whatever age leading up all throughout your adulthood, but to be a doctor of science or anything, like, it doesn't matter who you are. They can discriminate, like, people are discriminating against you because of the texture of your hair and how you wear your hair and how this or that may or may not be professional because of your hair. Well, this is my hair. I can't help that my hair is coily or, you know, curlier than yours, or it's not soft like that, or this or that. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And so the director of this documentary is Gillian Scott Ward, PhD, and you can watch this movie on Prime Video. It's very, very good. Very informative. Unbelievable. Couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brooke. Thank you for those documentaries.
Yeah.
We're going to have to put out all of these movies on our website on films and TV shows to watch.
Oh,
so,
for sure. We have a lot of work to continue to do.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up a couple of other movies that I've watched in the past, and that are just good movies, and I think everybody should just watch them also. One of them is Fences, and this is an American period drama film starring, produced, and directed by Denzel Washington, and it's written by August Wilson. It's based on his Pulitzer Prize-winning 1985 play of the same name. Viola Davis also stars in this, and it's just a great film set in the 50s. I really, really liked it. I hadn't seen Denzel like this before, and so I really recommend it. I really like 50s movies, and I just think it was just really well done. So I really like this movie.
Yes, very good movie.
Yeah, and then I know a movie that Brooke and I both love. We love all of these movies, but this movie, Black Panther, is a superhero film based on Marvel Comics. It's directed, co-written by Ryan Coogler, starring Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Lupita Nyong'o, Danai Gurira, Martin Freeman, Letitia Wright, Angela Bassett, and Forrest Whitaker, and Andy Serkis. I mean, that's a lot of people. It's just an amazing cast, a great story, an awesome movie. I mean, it's a superhero film.
Yeah.
You have to go watch it. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
It's a great movie.
I felt so proud going to the movie theaters that day to go watch it. I miss going to the movie theaters, I have to say.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I know. I agree. I miss going too.
Sunday matinees were my perfect days with the family, and then Wednesday matinees were perfect when the kids were in school, and me and David, we would just go, and it was, oh, I miss it. Popcorn and all of that. Yeah, that movie was amazing. I mean, I remember seeing so many people get dressed up to go to see that movie. People were all in their Africa shirts and their, their wardrobe and their African prints. I mean, people were just so proud of Black Panther Party. It was just amazing experience to see this on-screen Black superhero. People were so proud. So it was a great movie. Yeah, loved it. I want to know. I'm curious. I read some articles this week about, and actually, let me pull up the article that caught my attention because I was like, what? I'm not sure. Like, I had to think about this, and I read it, and the article is from Glamour Entertainment, and the writer is Jenny Singer, and it was published on June 11th, 2020. And the headline says, "Don't watch The Help or these other white savior movies." So I'm like, wait, I love The Help. Why shouldn't I watch it?
Yeah.
And basically, what I'm getting is, I feel like because of what is all happening in our media right now and across our world, the Black films like The Help and The Green Book is also another movie that I do remember there being controversy about. So people have been talking about this, but it just depends on how a personal opinion would be to view these movies, I guess. And the white authority message that's overshadowing the Black character persona. I noticed this at the Oscars when The Green Book won Best Motion
Film.
Picture, and then Viggo Mortensen won Best Actor, and then Mahershala Ali won Supporting Actor. I think people had an issue with the
Category?
No, it was actually
The movie itself.
The movie itself and how they viewed the white character over the Black character. And in this article, one of the actresses from The Help, she actually, either she tweeted or she posted on Instagram about why not watch her own movie that she was in, The Help, and instead of watching movies like that, watch movies like Moonlight and other movies where the Black characters are viewed as like, so The Help, The Blind Side, The Green Book, Freedom Writers, La La Land, which I never saw La La Land, Lincoln, Hidden Figures, To Kill a Mockingbird. These are all on the list of movies that they're saying that are reversing the roles of the strong character, which they're trying to portray the Black character as like, this is a Black film. But I think there's an underlying message that people are examining.
Right, yeah.
And
I've heard it too. So I am aware of what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I heard about it on The Help also. I think two actresses said that. I think it was, oh my goodness, this is so bad when you can't remember.
It's okay. It's a lot to take in. It's totally, yeah. I just wanted to talk about it because it's been on my mind, and we are podcast based on TV and movies. And so I feel like this is very relative to the current movement and then also to our passion, TV and film.
Yeah.
And I just find that very interesting. I really, really do. And I'm thankful for these intelligent people who are able to like see the messages that maybe other people can't see. But still, ultimately, it's no one's saying don't watch these movies. Like, really, don't. I'm not taking it as that because it's one of my favorite movies. I love The Help.
I know.
You know, I love the actresses in The Help, and I like the story. I think it's, you know, and I love the South. Like, there's, you know, like so much.
There's so many things. Yeah, I found it very entertaining. I really liked it too, but I guess, and I think it was in one of the movies that I just watched too. Oh, it was the movie with Chris Hemsworth, that one that I watched also.
Oh.
But it's basically a white character saving a minority character.
Yeah.
And that's the basis of a lot of people saying, don't watch this, watch that.
Yeah. So I have a list of some movies. Another documentary that is very important to see. If you loved Selma as much as you do, you're going to have to watch this, and it's called I Am Not Your Negro. I just watched that this week again.
I heard that one out on a list for people to watch. Yeah.
You have to. And you'll see Martin Luther King. Oh, yeah, his interview. He just, the way he spoke. Oh my gosh, such an amazing man. But Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. They had Medgar Evers, and it was narrated, and there was actual footage from James Baldwin.
Okay.
Yeah, and so it's cool because my eldest son, he was just talking about James Baldwin recently. And so that documentary is also a must see on the Civil Rights Movement and what they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome. So let's compile our list and we'll put that out for our listeners.
Yes.
So that they have plenty to pick from.
Exactly.
And they can choose what they want to watch, and hopefully they'll watch something we've recommended.
Yeah. What else are you watching?
Well, there's not a lot of new things on TV, but I just want to briefly mention that I did start rewatching The Walking Dead from season 1, episode 1, and it was so cool to see Rick and Glenn. Oh, my favorite characters, so young. It's such a good show. So anybody who has never watched this, what else do you have to watch? There's not too much new that's coming out, so give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a zombie apocalypse movie, but you just ride along, watch it. You'll appreciate the characters, right? You'll get past the zombies and the eating people, but it's really good. It's a good show to watch. I also watched 21 Bridges. This is with Chadwick Boseman. He's a NYPD detective who shuts down the 21 bridges to find 2 suspected cop killers, but soon runs up against conspiracy and corruption. It's a really good movie. It's great action, strong performances by Boseman. So I would recommend it.
Cool.
On Netflix, I saw Wrong Missy. And it wasn't a movie I was intending to watch, but how sometimes you have a movie and if it just starts playing? I'm like, if you click on it, I don't know, it started playing. And I'm like, I don't know that I want to watch it. But do you know that I got hooked and I started watching it? It's with David Spade and Lauren Lapkus, and it is really silly. It did not get good reviews, but I laughed. And if you can laugh, then it's a good movie. I mean, to watch, right? It's something to watch.
Awesome.
Lauren is very funny, and I really like this actress. So, and then accidentally, again, I had Footloose, the 1984 Footloose with Kevin Bacon. And it was on TV, and I was supposed to be watching one of my other films that we're reviewing, but I could not stop the TV. I'm like, I just couldn't. I kept watching it and watching it and watching it, and then they'd play us. I'm like, okay, after this part. And next thing you know, the movie was over. I love Footloose. I love Kevin Bacon. I love watching all these people when they were back in the 80s. I love the soundtrack. The music was so good. I think that's what I'm missing in some current films. I think it's the soundtracks or something, or they're not utilizing music as they did back in the 80s. I'm not sure what it is, but I just think that was a big draw for that movie. So I had just a lot of fun watching that.
Okay.
So I wanted to share that.
Okay. Cool.
What about you, Brooke? Are you watching anything else, or you've just been concentrated on all your documentaries?
Well, I've been watching probably only documentaries, and I've got some other shows for the youth but then I wanted to bring up another show that somebody recommended to me. But one of the documentaries that I watched, and I spoke of it earlier, it's called LA 92. That I watched on Netflix, but I think it's available on other avenues, Prime, maybe on Xfinity or something like that. And it was literally just a documentary on the events that took place in LA riots of 1992 after the trial, the Rodney King police brutality trial. And the officers were not convicted of their crimes, which was extremely surprising to the community. And you learn about other issues that have happened in that community. Like there was a girl who, before Rodney King's incident, there was a girl who was killed in a convenience store by the convenience store owner because the girl, she suspected her of stealing orange juice, so she decides that she's going to shoot her in the back of her head.
Oh my gosh.
And she's 14 and she killed her. She went to trial and she was not charged of her convictions.
Oh my God.
And so that caused a lot of problems in the Asian community in Los Angeles. During those riots, they went hard on them, and in this documentary, it's insane the amount of destruction. It was so crazy. The National Guard was there. The president at the time, his speech was. I'm not going to get political, but it hurt my feelings, knowing that the support just wasn't there for the people who were outraged.
Yeah.
And it was almost like they were blamed for their own behavior. Mm-hmm. And it was total madness to see. And the really interesting thing, this was a National Geographic documentary, or it was just played on National Geographic. And it's not narrated by a single person. It's actual footage compiled into this documentary, which tells the story of the documentary. There may be some text, but there is no narrator who I could even tell you narrated this at all. It's just all the journalists working hard there in the front lines of this 48-hour long riot that destroyed $1 billion of damage.
Wow.
In a weekend.
Wow. It's crazy.
I mean, thousands of businesses were engulfed, destroyed, gone. I can't imagine not being able to go to work because there is no business. All my inventory lost.
Right.
People's lives being taken on the news in helicopters. It was crazy. So this is LA 92 documentary. Very, very scary time.
Wow. Okay.
One of my friends, he posted about a Netflix drama movie directed by Spike Lee called Da 5 Bloods.
Oh, yes, that's popped up on my Netflix. Yeah.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm waiting to watch it with Gabe because I think it's action, maybe. I'm not sure. I love Chadwick Boseman, and so he is in this movie, and it's a group of African American veterans from the Vietnam War who returned to the country and to find remains alongside a stash of buried gold. So this sounds interesting. I do look forward to seeing this.
Me too.
What I watch with the kids, because of all this happening, I really, really am focusing on teaching my kids about certain events and what they're seeing in the media and how I could tone it down on their level. And they are watching, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Disney Plus has all these black sitcoms that I used to watch.
Fun.
I'm like, what? And Hulu. I mean, Hulu has Living Single on there, and Martin, and all those ones that I grew up watching. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Family Matters with Steve Urkel, you know,
I used to watch that one. Yeah,
his father was a police officer, and so you just get to you get to see these families. And like I told you before, that's how I learned about my culture, was through the shows and movies. And so there's a modern sitcom that the kids and I are watching together, and it's appropriate for children, and it's on Netflix, and it's called Family Reunion. It's really cute. It's really cute. It's about this family and their black family. The mom is actually half white, half black, and they moved to the South where her husband is from, and they relocate their 4 kids to the South. And so you get to see these kids adapt into the different culture. It's a very different culture for them. Like the daughter, she didn't even know what the Black Panther party was. She thought it was the movie, the Marvel movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cute. The kids enjoy it. I enjoy it. It's funny. I laugh because one of the twins, Tia Tamara, one of the twins, she's the mom. And so she's adorable. The hairstyles, the clothes, the swag, the grandmother, Madir, that's her name in the show. And that's what my grandmother's name, that was her. That's what people called her, Madir. And so there's this really amazing connection. And I think that my kids can see a lot of their mom in this show. So I feel like they can relate, even though I wasn't, raised significantly by my African American side of my family, but for some reason my kids are always like, "Mom, you are so, with it. How? Why? You were raised by a Chinese lady." So it feels good to experience this with the kids on their level.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah. So that's what we've been watching.
Oh my gosh, Brooke, thank you so much for sharing so much of what you've watched, your experiences, how you grew up. You've really opened up, and you're so inspiring, and I love it. And I hope that everyone will, watch what we've recommended here.
Thank you, Diana. I feel the same way about you. Your genre and all the films that you watch, I'm so proud of you for, just having these on your queue and your interest and the idea of learning through these movies. I mean, for me, it's really hard to pick up a book and read about these historical events, but that's what movies, you can do that through these films. So people,
I love it.
Stay tuned and look for our spreadsheet that we're going to be putting out of all other movies that we recommend.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for tuning into our show. We are grateful you tuned in, and we hope that something we said today resonated with you, gave you a chuckle, some happiness, some positivity, or inspiration. Please subscribe to our podcast and tell a friend. We would love more members of our TV club. If you could do us a big favor and rate and review the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher, we really need your feedback.
Oh, yes. We would be so grateful. And we will be uploading our new episode in a couple of weeks, so stay tuned. Our next show will be on comedy movies. Ha ha ha. Ho, ho, ho. You can find our website listed in our show notes. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.